Big shout out to Tommy V in Michigan. He was on fire this morning.
Okay, thank you, Tommy V in Michigan. Yes, sir. If you share my prayers.
Tommy V's on. Yeah, we'll jump over there. How about that?
Counsel Barat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we have Mr. White, defendant 2 in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, counsel.
Ryan Murad, PA 3665. On behalf of Mr. White, we waive the formal reading. Mr. White stands mute. He's been advised of his constitutional rights.
Thank you. I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty. Court dates are April 22nd, 2024, probable cause conference, followed by preliminary examination, April 29, 2024. Both matters are in front of Judge Sabri. Mr. White, while this case is pending, you're not to have contact with Dominique Johnson. That means no person-to-person contact, no contact with third parties, no phone calls, no emails, no text messaging. You're not to possess any firearms or any other dangerous weapons. You understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel Ragnan, go ahead, Esteban, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Samuel A. Ragnan, 23-157 on behalf of people. Yeah, it's a very assaultive matter where the defendant was driving in a vehicle with a co-defendant, and the complainant rear-ended their vehicle accidentally, at least the investigator report implies. With that, she stopped the vehicle. The passenger in the defendant's car, Ms. Smith, got out with a gun, and according to the investigator's report and the complainant, tapped on the window with the gun and pointing it at her. The complainant was in the car with her brother, became afraid and took off driving away. The defendant, who was driving the vehicle with the other co-defendant, chased them. Okay, they chased him for a ways at different streets. Subsequently, the car was parked. And her brother got out of the car and ran. This defendant then got the handgun and was chasing them and saying, "I'm going to." He said, "I'm going to kill you." But they said that he was running the same direction as the victims with the gun. There's video cameras of him doing this, chasing them with a gun in his hand. There's a number of different videos. So we're asking for a $50,000 cash surety bond. We're also asking for GPS test and no curfew. It does have a record, Your Honor. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Did you say he has a record or no record?
Well, he has a record. He pled guilty to assault and battery in 2009 and malicious destruction of property in 2011. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. White, I'd indicate that he's 33 years old. He indicates that he has no prior criminal history, no pending matters against him, that he's not on probation or parole. The judge said he's a machine operator at Freshly Garden. He's gainfully employed. He's unfortunately diabetic. He takes insulin twice daily. He's indicated he's not received any medication. Judge, he was arrested on a traffic stop. This is a case from October of 2023. He indicated that, he definitely was made aware of a warrant or some sort of letter was sent to his house or somebody called him. He would have had no problem turning himself in. These parties are known to each other. Obviously, there's been no contact between these parties. It looks like this is from, I would say, approximately 6 months ago. He has 6 children here in the community, Your Honor, very young, between 6 and 14 years old. I'd ask the court to give him a personal bond. Definitely no capious history. I hear the prosecutor with regard to any potential priors, but it sounds like those may have been misdemeanors from over 10 years ago, even if it's true. I'd ask the court for personal here and no contact.
Thank you. Counsel Redmond, anything new? Just want to make sure.
Nothing new, Your Honor. Just
Okay. In this particular matter,
by the
I'm sorry,
defendant.
say that again? You said
I said-
nothing new?
Except there was multiple incidents of assault pointing a gun at the victims, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So in this particular matter, in reference to Mr. White, other than some misdemeanors that are more than 10 years old, okay, one being a little bit assaultive misdemeanor, this particular matter, reading the allegations in the report from October 2023, Mr. White supposedly had a firearm involved with this incident. And I haven't heard anything new to indicate that Mr. White has had contact with the complainant, Dominic Johnson. It's been a few months. So what I am going to do is reference to Mr. White. He's going to get $50,000 personal bond. We believe that, the court does believe that Mr. White is a danger, but we're going to try a $50,000 personal bond with a GPS tether. And counsel, does your client work or not?
Yes, Your Honor. He's gainfully employed at Freshly Garden as a machine operator. Would you like me to voir dire him for work hours?
No, because I'm going to put him for a GPS work only.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Young lady, what's your name, ma'am?
License,
Lesson what?
Smith-Hodes.
Is it Blessing Shantice Smith-Hodes, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm magistrate Chuck that you're here on a criminal matter. Your defendant one in this case, 24056. You have an attorney. Go ahead, counsel.
Ryan Murad, PA 3665. On behalf of Ms. Blessed Smith-Hodges, we waive the reading, stand mute. Ms. Smith-Hodges has been advised of her rights.
I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty. Court dates are April 22nd, 2024, probable cause conference, followed by preliminary examination, April 29, 2024. Both matters are in front of Judge Sabri. Some bond conditions, ma'am. Ms. Smith-Hodges, one is that you are not to have contact with a Dominic Johnson. That means no person-to-person contact, no contact with third parties, no phone calls, no emails, no text messaging. Further, you're not to possess any firearms or any other dangerous weapons. You understand the bond conditions?
Yes.
Counsel
Ragman, go ahead, ask your bond, please.
Yeah, it's the same co-defendant as Mr. Charleston White, but this defendant was much more assaultive even than the Mr. White. She originally got out of the vehicle herself after the complainant rear-ended the vehicle she was a passenger in, and tapping on the window with a gun, ordering her out of the car, as witnessed the brother of the complainant, Mr. Johnson, has also made the same statement, pointing the gun at his complainant, forcing him, trying to force her out of the car. They became afraid. She takes off. This defendant and the other co-defendant chased her, Your Honor, and finally they end up getting out of the vehicle, the complainants, and running, and they're running behind them with guns pointed at them and threatening them. And she has no holster and a gun with her gun. Just had it in her waist. That when the police finally were able to apprehend her. So, Your Honor, and there is video of them chasing the complainants with the guns and so on. So, again, we're asking for a $50,000 cash surety, and we're asking for a GPS tether with home arrest. And you did give a personal bond to the other defendant of $50,000 with tether, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you tell me again, what were you requesting?
$50,000 cash surety, GPS tether, home arrest.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Rod, go ahead.
Judge, on behalf of Ms. Smith-Hodges, I can advise that she's only 22 years old. She's had no contact with the criminal justice system for her entire life. She has a stable residence with her sister in Southfield, where she's lived her whole life. Judge, these parties are known to each other. She's gainfully employed at the Jewish Senior Life Caregiver Center. She's been there for a year. She indicates that she can't afford a monetary bond as monthly income still puts her within the guidelines. Most importantly, though, what tells me that I believe she's going to comply is that she's stayed in contact with the detective on this case, that they've had regular communications, and she indicates that if she was advised, that there was some warrant, she would have turned herself in. But, this is a case from October of 2023. This is somebody with no prior, somebody with a good job and a stable residence, and a complainant that's not domestically involved with her in any way, shape, or form. For those reasons, I'd ask the court to take a chance on Ms. Smith-Hodges. I'd ask the court to release her on personal bond and to continue the no contact order and no firearm provision that it's already set.
Thank you. I've heard the representations of both sides, had an opportunity to read the investigator's report. Ms. Smith-Hodges is going to get the same thing, that there appears to be some video in which Ms. Smith-Hodges is running after the complainants. She has a firearm, so I'm going to give her a $50,000 personal bond, but she's going to be on a GPS tether. And counsel, you said that she works?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the GPS tether is work only.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You want to go 5? I got a guy up here now.
Which chair do I sit in?
Yep. Your next door name. Stand on the bike. Let's say your full name. Hey, Chowdhury.
My full name is Zachary Jean.
5
Is it Zachary James Jean, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Jean, I'm Magistrate Judge Taft. You're here on 2 criminal matters. First case, one is a felony, the other one's a misdemeanor. Felony case is 240-567-1301. The charge on that is assault with intent to do great harmless murder by strangulation, domestic violence. The other case is 240-445-4701. It's a misdemeanor. Charge on that is domestic violence. Sir, you have an attorney. Go ahead, counsel.
Ryan Murad, PA 3665. On behalf of Mr. Zachary Jean, we waive the reading. Mr. Jean stands mute. He's been advised of his rights.
On enter plea of not guilty. On the felony case, court dates are April 22nd, 2024, probable cause conference, followed by preliminary examination, April 29th, 2024. Both matters are in front of Judge King. On the misdemeanor case, court date is April 23rd, 2024, pretrial in front of Judge Garrett. On both cases, Mr. Jean, bond conditions, you have the same complainant. One, you're not to have any contact with Talia Romero. That means no person-to-person contact, no contact to third parties, no phone calls, no emails, no text messaging.
Okay.
See what else. You're not to possess any firearms or any other dangerous weapons.
Okay.
And okay. And while the investigative report says that they reside at different locations, okay, it was during the probable cause hearing, testimony was given that the complainant, Ms. Romero, does reside at the Somerset Mall, at the Somerset address. So you're not to go back to the Somerset address. You understand all those bond conditions, Mr. Jean?
Yes, but she lives somewhere else.
Sir, don't
now.
say anything, please. Don't say anything.
I got you. Just
Don't say anything. That's why you have an attorney to represent you. Counsel Ragnan, go ahead, Esteban, please.
People are very concerned. We're asking for $25,000 personal bond, GPS tether, with work release, Your Honor. And no, obviously you said no contact already. Thank you.
On both matters?
Yes.
Okay.
So hold on, Mr. Jean, hold up. So Judge, on behalf
Counsel,
of
go
Mr.
ahead,
Jean,
Esteban.
I agree with the prosecutor on the personal bond. That personal bond, which means Mr. Jean doesn't have to pay any money to be released. As to the GPS tether, Judge, the only thing that I would add is that he indicates that residence is with his father, grandfather, and siblings. Their family lives there, and that he indicates that the complaining witness lives in Allen Park. Your Honor, I would, we believe that these allegations arise from the complaining witness being present at the defendant's home. We don't want to litigate the case here, but Mr. Jean is maintaining his innocence. Both of these cases indicate, that no injuries were observed on the complaining witness. I would indicate that he's gainfully employed. He's a high school graduate. I'd ask the court for the same personal bond that the people are requesting, but I just asked the court to maybe rethink the GPS tether unless there's some sort of capious history or a real concern that the court is made aware of.
Yeah, and I'm going to object, and no objection, I will withdraw the request for GPS tether. Thank you.
You're going to withdraw the GPS tether?
Yes, in the residence, he can obviously live with his father, so.
Okay. So in this particular matter, okay. All right, there are two situations, and one is April 11th, the other one is March 18th in this particular matter. Allegedly that on March 18th, there was allegedly strangulation. The complainant did not lose consciousness. And the one that was on April 11th, allegedly, the defendant, Mr. D, grabbed the complainant's left ankle, dragged her out of the room, and this was over at the Somerset residence. At some point, there was an individual that separated the two, and the complainant was told to go to upstairs. Allegedly, Mr. Jean ran after her. The witness had to grab the defendant by his shirt to get him off the complainant. There was bruises. The complainant had bruises throughout her neck and face. Medics were refused, it appears, on both matters. There appears to be some escalation in terms of the complainant and the defendant can't be around each other. The court doesn't have authority over the complainant, but the court does have authority over the defendant. Okay. Mr. Jean, let me say this to you, sir. You cannot be around the complainant, period. She calls you, she knocks on the door, she wants to see you, sweet talk, whatever it is. You violate by having contact. You open the door. You see her in the mall and you start talking to her. Those are all violations of bond conditions. Do you understand that?
I have a question.
Just do you understand that, sir, before you ask any questions? Hold on. Mr. Jean,
Your question is about the bond and court dates and bond conditions? Is that what your question is?
No, that's not my question, but I understand.
Okay, so as long as you understand that, okay, and Counsel Ragnan is not asking for a GPS tether. This court does think that you are a danger, sir. This court does think you are a danger, but we're going to give you one chance, sir. One chance only. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, control your emotions. I suggest that, sir, what I suggest to you is that if there's a situation that you think you're going to have, you're going to lose your emotions, lose control, walk away from the situation. Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not going to be a $25,000 personal bond. He's going to have $100,000 personal bond. This court does feel, one, there appears to be a history of assault. The other thing is this court is on the edge of giving a monetary bond, but the prosecutor, Mr. Ragnan, and he may have more information. He thinks that a personal bond, no GPS tether, and I will go with that. But Mr. Jean, understand, do not come in front of me. Do not come in front of, okay, saying that, hey, somebody got you in trouble, it was not your fault. The ball's in your court. Violation, high monetary bond. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
That $100,000 in each case?
$100,000 personal bond on each case.
Do I have to pay that?
No.
Oh,
No. But, Mr. Jean, you may be on the hook if you violate.
Can I
Do
get
you
some
understand
paperwork?
that?
Before you leave, my man.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes, I
Jean,
understand.
don't say anything else. Mr. Jean, don't say anything else. Let the magistrate finish the arraignment. You're gonna get out without having to pay any money,
Sure.
and you got no tether. Don't say anything else.
Yeah, don't say anything else because you may just dig a hole for yourself. All right, step aside, sir.
Your Honor, I need a personal moment if I could, please. Your Honor,
Thank you. All right, gentlemen. The gentleman in the orangey red shirt, what's your full name, sir?
James Wiley.
Okay, and the gentleman that is standing to the right of Mr. Wiley, what's your name, sir?
Derek McCullough, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. McCaleb, Derek Anthony McCaleb III, you are defendant 1. James Wiley, you are defendant 2. Case number is 240567114. You have an attorney. Go ahead, counsel.
Ryan Murad, PA 3665, on behalf of both Mr. Derek McCaleb and Mr. James Wiley, we waive the formal reading. Mr. McCaleb and Mr. Wiley stand mute. They've both been advised of their constitutional rights.
Thank you. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. Both of you gentlemen, Mr. Wiley, Mr. McCaleb, both of you are not to have contact with a Nassar Obad or Abad. When I say no contact with that individual, that means no person-to-person contact, no contact with third parties, no phone calls, no emails, no text messaging. Neither of you are to possess any firearms or other dangerous weapons, pepper sprays, tasers, brass knuckles, any knives, machetes. Understand the bond conditions, Mr. McCaleb?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand the bond conditions, Mr. Wiley?
Ma'am.
Okay. All right. Mr. Ragnan, go ahead, Esteban, please.
in a very assaultive matter, self-intent to murder, people are asking for $500,000 cash bond for each defendant. If they're able to post a bond, we're asking for GPS tether with home arrest. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, this is not an assault with intent to murder. This is robbery armed.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought it was the 10/30/23 case where they charged with Mr. Wiley is charged with assault with intent to murder. My apologies. I have not read this case then, Your Honor, so I'm obviously asking for a very high cash bond, but I'm going to leave it up to your discretion. Thank you.
Thank you. And Counsel Ragnar, if you want to have an opportunity, go ahead. While defense counsel, go ahead and argue bond on both defendants.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you, Your Honor. So I'll start with defendant number one, Mr. Derek McCaleb. I'd indicate that he's 19 years old. He indicates that he has a clean record, that he just started at Wayne County Community College. He's a student, and he's also gainfully employed at Comerica Park concession. He's well within the poverty guidelines. I'd ask the court judge to consider a confinement bond for both of these gentlemen. I understand the allegations are armed robbery. They are very serious allegations. I don't have any prior criminal history or pending matters for Mr. Wiley or Mr. McCaleb. I did hear the people indicate that there was another matter from 2023 I haven't had the chance to look into that and see its disposition or its validity, but I can tell the court, I'm not aware of any capious history for Mr. McCaleb. I can tell the court that he lives with his mother and his siblings, and he's been a life resident in Michigan. Now, for Mr. Wiley, I'd indicate he's 18 years old, also nothing on his record that we're aware of. No pending matters that we're aware of, no probation or parole that we're aware of. That is actually still in high school, Judge. He's scheduled to graduate in June. He's also gainfully employed at McDonald's, well within the poverty guidelines. He's a life resident. He also lives with his mother and their siblings. I'd ask the court to give these two young men a chance here. I know these charges are serious, but I'd ask for GPS bond, home confinement for both of them if the court would be willing to entertain the idea of a personal bond. If not, I'd ask for a 10% bond or a reasonable bond for both of these individuals.
Thank you. Council Ragnan, did you have an opportunity to look at or not?
Well, I haven't. I just found it. I was reading the investigative reports, Your Honor. I believe, Your Honor, if I could just have another moment, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
And because, Judge, if I can add while Mr. Ragnan is finishing up, I ran Mr. Wiley's name in the 36th District Court Register of Actions with his date of birth, and the only matter that popped up was this. So that it could be true about the armed robbery, but I can tell you that with what I've been able to verify with this short amount of time, it definitely wasn't charged in Detroit under this James Wiley under this date of birth.
Okay, Your Honor, people are asking for a $300,000 cash bond for each defendant. If they're able to post a bond, GPS tether. A lot of behavior, just very dangerous, Your Honor, both of them. Thank you.
Thank you. I've heard the representations on both sides using clear convincing evidence standard when the court is entertaining a monetary bond in reference to both. And listening to the representations, the court had a chance to review the investigative report. It appears that there was an assault firearm that was used by one of the defendants in order to allegedly rob the complainant. The complainant had previous dealings. I believe it was with Mr. McCaleb, and apparently they had been sales had occurred before. But in this particular matter, that did not go down. The allegation is one of the defendants had a firearm and they took items from him.
Wow.
And with that, okay, this court also has under court rule 6.106, this court can give a monetary bond or do a remand in this particular matter because the charge is armed robbery. And if it doesn't remand, there's no monetary bond. But I do believe that the prosecutor is indicating, oh, is it 100 or 3,000? 300?
300, Your Honor.
And for both of them, and also reading from the investigative report that Mr. Wiley has no prior criminal history, but Mr. McCaleb supposedly is on CCW from a 2023. Is supposedly HIDA, but supposedly there's a probation violation. I don't know if HIDA is violated or not, but we're just going on what these charges are. This court is going to adopt the recommendation of $300 cash for both, $300,000 cash. I believe there was no surety, no 10%. It's going to be a non-affordable bond. Is that correct, counsel?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so that means for each of them, Mr. McCaleb, Mr. Wiley, come Monday, you're going to have an unaffordable bond redetermination, April 15, 2024, 9 o'clock in front of Judge McConigal, who's going to look at the bond amount and bond conditions for each of you. Do you understand that, Mr. Wiley? Do you understand that, Mr. McCaleb?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, I'm not going to address the issue of GPS tether. I'll let Judge McConigal address that issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
What are the court dates, ma'am?
I'm sorry, say that again, Officer Prey.
Court dates?
Sure, April 22nd, April 29th.
Yeah, it's not.